We already know that, in most sentences, the subject comes before the verb. We also know that if the subject is also the agent, that is, if the subject is the one doing the verb, that we are looking at an active sentence. Let's now learn about passive sentences. In a passive sentence, the subject is not the agent. The subject isn't doing the verb. Take a look at this example. The ball was kicked by Ben. Let's start by finding the verb. Well, it's was kicked. Okay, so the subject comes before the verb, so the subject must be the ball. Now, is the subject also the agent? Is the subject the one that is doing the kicking? Well, no, it was Ben, so Ben is the agent. Since the subject is not the agent, that means the subject isn't actively doing the verb. This is not an active sentence. Instead, it's a passive sentence, or we could say it's written in the passive voice. When sentences are passive, the reader's focus is drawn to the thing the verb is acting upon, rather than the person or thing that is doing the verb. So in this example, the reader is more likely to focus on the ball, rather than Ben. Here's another example of a passive sentence. The excitement was caused by the arrival of the Queen. So the verb here is was caused, and the subject that comes before the verb is the excitement. So, is the excitement also the agent? Is it the excitement that was doing the causing? Well, no, it was the arrival of the Queen that caused the excitement. Therefore, the subject of this sentence is not the doer of the verb. So this is also a passive sentence. Have you noticed how in both examples the verb includes a form of the verb to be? In both cases it was the word was. This is a general rule in the passive voice. The verb must include a form of the verb to be. Okay, here's one more example. See if you can spot the to be verb. The toys were returned to the cupboard. So, the subject in this sentence is of course the toys, and the verb is were returned. This time it uses were as the form of the verb to be. We can now ask ourselves whether the subject is the doer of the verb. Is the subject the agent? Were the toys doing the returning? Well, no, of course not. We don't actually know who was doing the verb. We don't know who the agent was. It may have been some children, or a parent perhaps. But what we do know is that the subject of the sentence, the toys, weren't doing the verb. They weren't actively putting themselves away. As a result, this is a passive sentence. Remember, when the subject is not the agent, that is, it's not the doer of the verb, we have a passive sentence. Or we can say we are writing in the passive voice. Start by finding the verb and then the subject, and then simply ask yourself whether the subject is the doer of the verb.